Hey, it's Eric. We've got a whole bunch of infrastructure in place now. We know how to write unit tests. We know how to connect to Redis. We've got build and deploy jobs on our build server. So now we need to actually start writing some application logic. And the first thing we want to be able to do is log in a user. But before we can even do that, we need a data model. We need to represent this user somehow. So watch in this video as we design a data model, persist the data to Redis, and then write some integration tests to make sure it works.
What the fuck is this?
One thing we're going to do is we're going to move the Redis stuff down to the infrastructure project, but I think we can do that like as part of real work. The next thing that we probably need to figure out is like, what is our first piece of real functionality that we want to do? So log in, right? So we probably need some kind of customer object, yep. Right? We probably need some kind of user object. Okay, so then you log in, you get this guy, and then we'll get your customer as well, because that'll be one of the things in here. So a user is going to have, for now, they're going to have a name, an email address. They're going to have a customer ID, or do we want to plan for customer IDs right now, or do we want to just?
No, let's just do ID.
The ID, okay. And so then a customer is going to have what? Is he going to have his own name? Like, is there like an account name?
Yep, there'll be a friendly. Yep, an account name, an ID.
He needs an ID.
Yeah.
He'll have a list of users.
Yep. And that's probably it for now.
That's true. Okay, so then let's see. That'll get us. We'll log in with the email, and then we won't have a password for now. So we'll grab the user and we'll hydrate the user and the customer, right? And that's kind of our win scenario for right now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we'll probably want a test that goes along with this. Mm-hmm. Not a real test, but more of like a hydrate some test data test.
Yeah, or like an integration test that adds a user and a customer record and gets some.
So that we can log in and see that it worked.
Okay, let's do it. I like it. So what do we want to do as far as folder structure? So in Track.js, we had like a services folder for a long time, but then we eventually like started breaking things out by we used to have like by the type of file. So there'd be a folder for services and then a folder for data models. And then that kind of got unwieldy because as you added more services, there's just this giant folder of services. So then what we did is we started putting things together. So like there'd be a customer folder, and in there would be like a customer service that can get customers and a customer object, you know?
So I like that, but there's another like concept here that we have to think about is that because we're going to be storing so much in Redis, there's like this common thing that is just Redis. Like there's somewhere along the line, we're going to have an object that is like managing the core Redis connection.
Yes.
I would imagine, right?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
And so where does that go? Is there just a folder called Redis? Or is there
that?
We just pop that puppy right in the root? No, I think
maybe it is just in the root. Maybe there's just a class called like Redis Manager or Redis something.
Yeah, do you like Redis Manager, Redis.cs, Redis Helper? What is?
Let's call it just Redis for now, and then we'll define if we need to change the name based on what does the interface end up looking like.
Perfect. Okay, so one thing that we need to do, because this has not been done, is we actually need to, we don't have Redis in the infrastructure project yet. And actually, we do have it in web.
So we should probably take it out of web at some point.
Yeah, so let's put it in, actually, I don't think we need it in tests. Well, we might, we'll cross that bridge. Okay, so I'm going to add it to infrastructure first. And we can take it out of web once we remove that code that we've got in there. Okay, and so the connection multiplexer, right? Plexer, and so that guy should get me Redis, right? He is meant to be static, right? So this guy, we can just like new him up once, and then we're done. Like he just can live forever.
Okay.
So how do we want to do that? So, I mean,
We probably want like some sort of initialized method that the web can call when it's like at that point that does that, right? Because at this point, or we can't just do it statically at the beginning here because we might not have our configuration loaded properly.
What we could do, yeah, you're right. So that's the one thing is like we can't do like a traditional like one-liner singleton because that config's not going to be right. But what we could do like this, and we could do our everybody's favorite double check locking, right? I mean, is that Jordan's shaking his head like?
So are we revealing the multiplexer directly?
I think we should. So the multiplexer actually, he can do server specific operations. So he's the only guy that can get that info like that we were drawing in the CSS HTML. So also heretically, I don't really care about privates and publics. I just make everything public if I was the boss. But like I'll be like for the sake of other people.
Eric all the time.
I just mean from a class perspective, like what is like the sphere of control of this object, right? Like is it are we going to manage that server level information and reveal connection? Like maybe we should just spit out clients.
So
like
for
you
now,
ask for a client, we give you a client.
So for now, I think that's okay. So let's start that way. And in a fit of rage someday, I will make it public when I need it. So so then what is it? Equals null. And I'm sorry about the braces on the same line though. JavaScript sometimes gets me. And so then we can do connect, and then this is.
Oh, there's a normal connect too.
Oh, do you want to do?
No, let's do that.
I didn't know. Did I screw that up, or does that look right? I think that's right.
Looks good to me.
What could go wrong? Okay, so now, Todd, to your point, it's actually called an iDatabase, which kind of irks me because, like, that's not...
That's descriptive.
Yeah, right? So now we can do... and then it's get database. So this returns an iDatabase, and so we'll just do 0 for now. Right, so this is the thing that we can use. Mm-hmm. And so now anywhere we want, we can say Redis get client, and we'll theoretically have this work.
As long as we've called it after start, which we should.
Well, so that'll be, we'll have to see how that works. But yes, you're right. Okay, so that's Redis. I think he's probably okay for the moment.
I think that, if this is its role, is to just kind of like manage clients, I think Redis is going to be so fundamental to our infrastructure, we don't even need to put this in the folder. Let's just let's just call it Redis, and it sits in the root of infrastructure. There's nothing else that it's going to do, right?
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
It's operation.
Save a folder.
Look at all those trees we're saving.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. And we'll have to have other things in here, I'm sure, too, and he may build out and whatever. But for now, I think that's all we need.
Yeah.
Okay, so then do we like the idea of doing like a customer folder where there's a customer service and a customer object?
I do like that, yeah.
Okay. I do too, actually. So let me.
But I actually think, we should probably start with a user, since that's what's going to log in, right?
Yep. I just think alphabetically in my head sometimes. Okay, so let's make a user quick. This will just be like the DTO. This is going to be irritating because it's probably going to be some stupid ass Windows off thing that'll conflict with, but whatever, let's just go with it. So he's going to have a name, right? He's going to have an email, and he's going to have a customer ID.
Yep.
Good job.
Boom.
We're done.
Okay, do you like user service? Or do you like user manager, user helper?
Well, how do you picture this going? Like map out some pseudocode here, just in the user object. What does this look like to you?
Let's go back to I find the text document to be nice because then like we're not tied to any C# stuff. So like if I was gonna log in, like I would think like I would have something like this, right? And then I would, if user equals null, invalid, maybe. Otherwise, we're good. Something like that.
Okay.
You know, and then he would have, and then I would have maybe I don't know. User customer ID, right? If I wanted the customer, possibly.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that have like a lifetime issue at all, or is that like? Try it. I thought static classes had some weird stuff about them. Is that not true?
I mean, we're not going to instantiate this thing, right?
I guess.
You're probably right, though.
Actually, well, yeah. Okay, we'll try it. Okay, so what's the first thing we need to do? Probably add user, right? Like, because we need to get a user in there before we can do anything else.
I like it.
Okay. And so
You need a return.
Yeah.
Public static void.
Yep. Is he already? What?
You changed the namespace after you moved them out of that folder, so it's not Redis.Redis.
Oh?
Do we want to make... that's interesting.
Static makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So we want to, so then, okay, so what we can do, so these are hashes. So we can do a hash set. And we have a couple choices we can make. We can do hash set async, or we can do hash set synchronous. Should we try async until it bites us?
Let's do async until we decide that we hate it because it's not debuggable.
Okay. So we need a key. We need to know the key for this guy. And so do we want to just...
A key for what?
Where we're going to store this. So this will be like, users key. Is it users? Is it users? Is it users list?
I have no preference.
Me neither.
Should we try users?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the simplest thing that can work besides a U.
Okay, so then we have a couple of overloads. There's two of these. We can put in a field and a value, or we can put in a array of hash entries, which is just an array of field values. So in this case, I think we can use the first overload because we just need the one. And so the simplest way to do that would be the email address, and then
do we need to encode that email address at all? Are like all the characters that can be sent in an email?
Redis is technically like binary safe.
Yeah.
You can put anything you want in there.
In theory. Okay, so then we're going to do user, and we're going to be done.
Well,
I mean, do we need to return any sort of token that we'll be able to consume that says I want to do something now that I know the user's added?
Yeah, so I mean we can always do.
Yeah, it's a good point, Todd, because I think the first use case for this, like for real, would be like a sign-up page. The sign-up page would need to have it exist before continuing, I assume, right? Mm-hmm. Like you make a user, you do some other things.
Oh, I need to do this. What are you mad about? Return
Is it just async void?
Well, you need a task to await, right? What is this guy? The async method lacks the await operation will run synchronously. Right, so now he won't, and so this guy returns a task bool. I think, like, so if we did, right, this guy's going to be a bool. We could just return here and just have it be a task with no, this is like a void return.
I think maybe we should just do that.
Okay, because the bool is kind of an ambiguous return value.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have to have get user by email, maybe, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing here. So we're gonna get a client, right? We're gonna do this deal. We're probably, and actually, this guy can be async too if we want. Async all the way down, baby. And so then we're gonna do hash.
And it'll be a task user, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, that is correct. I'm so used to JavaScript where you don't have to do that. Like it wraps the promise like implicitly, or no, I guess you do have to set the promise. Yeah, whatever. Okay, hash get async. Okay, so we're gonna need our key, which is gonna be the user's key, and we want to get a field, right? And so that is actually gonna be the email address. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so then this guy should return.
But we have to deserialize it, right?
Yeah, we do. And so he's gonna be a Redis value. And so then we want to do var, so if, and then this is like Redis value. There's dot null. So you don't actually get null back. You get this Redis value null. So that's how you know if like you requested the thing and it wasn't there. So if he's null, we'll just maybe return null for now.
Yeah, I think so.
Else return. Let's see what that was. JSON serializer dot deserialize user.
Should we do deserialize async? Since we're already in that world.
Is that a thing? Oh
man.
Snap.
I guess.
What is this guy? Can I convert from? Oh yeah.
It wants a stream.
Oh. Is that the only thing
the
I
other
can do?
overload?
Oh, always a stream.
Oh, then that's why it's async.
Yeah.
Because it's the stream one.
Now what is this guy? The call is ambiguous, right? So this guy, I think I can actually just cast him. If I remember right, can I go here? Redis value, I think, is implicit with string. Do you see string in here?
Yeah, I think I see it. Right
there it is. Right, okay. All right. So we should be able to actually round trip this now. We should be able to write a test that tests this.
I think so.
Do you want to try it?
Do that. Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be here. We're going to add a new folder. He's going to be the user folder, and this is going to be a class. Is going to be user service tests. Okay, and so then I don't know if we need. Let's do a setup actually.
We will need a setup because we're going to need to set our configuration.
Yep, exactly. So, boom, and this is going to be request metrics config. You're not going to autocomplete because you don't have it. Load test. Boom, and then we're going to have a test. Add and retrieve a user. All right, this will be kind of a dumb CRUD test. So we need a new user. Boom. Great. I wish there was. I have so many good ideas about software, and no one wants to hear them. Okay, and then user.customer ID equals 134. How about 123? How's that sound?
Yep.
Sounds fine.
Okay, so then we want to do user service.
Wasn't there like a whole syntax for that, like an object initializer?
Oh
thing?
yeah, there is. So.
But ironically, it will technically take more lines.
Oh, does it? It's not even shorter?
Just because the two brackets take up 2 lines.
All right, never mind that.
It's less characters. No, we can do that. Let's do the initializer.
Yeah. Depends how I'm feeling that day.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to actually encounter a problem right away here.
Your test is not async.
Right. Can it be async?
We'll find out.
Maybe.
I kind of hope it can be, because that would make it easy. So this would be from Redis user equals user service dot get user by email. Right, and then just for now.
We have to await the other one too.
You're right. Thank you. So he should be a user. Yeah, I mean, our general like rule is like, once we find the test, like we'll just run it and see what happened. You know what I mean? Like, our tests don't fail, Todd.
I'm fine with it.
We should have though, async task delete user by email too, right? Just because we kind of need that too. And I guess really it's, I don't know, some variant of this.
Is there a hash?
Oh, yeah.
Delete? Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Then we don't need this piece.
It's just email address, not user.email.
Very good, very good. And I guess, as Jordan says, we don't even need the return, right? And I guess technically we don't need this result either.
Nope.
Which always bugs me when I want it to. Okay. So then in our test, right, we can then do so await user service dot delete user by email from Redis user dot email. And so then no user should equal user by email from Redis user dot email. No user. And then build succeeded. Test run finished. One passed.
We didn't test updating.
Agreed. Okay, so let's do this. We can update them. How about right here? So let's do from Redis user dot name equals Todd, and then we'll do await user service dot. Do we want to call this add or update user?
I think we'll probably want. I think we'll probably want two different ones because I'm pretty sure we're going to want to.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, we're going to want to like make sure we're not overriding a user.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll want to add user who will make sure it doesn't exist, and we'll an update user who makes sure it does exist, right?
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Before he does it.
Okay, so let's Okay, so that's good. So we've got add user. So can I do hash? There's like a. Okay, so that's my guy, right? Come on, go back. So we want to do hash exists async, and that will await that boss. And so this is going to be the user's key, right? And the hash field is going to be email. So if the email exists, what do we do?
Let's throw a dirty exception there.
Yep.
Yeah, I would.
Hey. Here's email already exists. Else we can do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so then we need kind of the same deal. Okay, but so in this case, it's the opposite, right? So if he does exist, that's what we want. Else,
could not find user with the same.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Todd. Now.
No, I like the sort of intent-based thing, to be honest, because eventually it'll burn you otherwise.
No, I mean now this test is getting even too big for me.
Yeah, because now you're gonna want to make sure that it doesn't exist and a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, we're just gonna call this test add users, because that's our user, right? So we're gonna call him. We're gonna do this stuff. Okay, and then what we're gonna do? So these guys we might still, there's a place for y'all down here. We'll come back to you later. Okay, so we're gonna add him once, right? We do this expecting that's good. Let's try and add him again. How about?
I would say that before you even need to do that, you could test try and get Eric, make sure you got null.
So even like up here, right?
Yeah. That satisfies one condition of like, if you get a user that's not there, it blows up.
This needs to be wait, and this will be assert that is no user. So then we add him, and then we assume that we can get him, right? And then we're gonna try, and actually can I do, is it like this?
There is an exert catch a argument exception. Yep. And then this, you need to pass in a delegate. So like,
can I do this?
Yep.
And this will just from Redis user. Can I do? Oh, this gets a little.
Ooh, I don't know how that works.
I think you can do that. I don't. We'll have to.
It's gonna work. Yeah, of course.
I think what we should do instead is I think when we run on the test environment, like what about this idea? Redis has up to 15 different databases we can use. Why don't we just make a different database for tests?
Okay.
And that way we can just delete the entire database when we're done.
Can we actually create a new database?
Oh yeah.
Just create it for a run of a test and then destroy it when it's over?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll just pick one of the existing ones and
Yeah, so Redis has the 16 buckets out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of using them.
Yep.
So that's and you actually saw it in Eric's test setup. We'll see it. He's doing database 0.
Yeah. So get client right is fine. I think what we need to do here is just maybe we do right.
Okay. So is our entire production going to use one database? Is there any? I guess what is the concept of databases for? Is it faster to split data across multiple databases, or is it just per environment, per application?
So it's just for organizational purposes. One thing to note about databases is they are deprecated. So they work fine in master-slave setups. They're not supported on cluster. So if we ever wanted to move to cluster, so that's why I think we should only use one database. We should just assume it's 0 if we ever want to move to cluster. But for testing purposes,
for testing purposes, should we just do it even more nasty than this and say if environment equals test?
Yeah. So that's the other thing we could do, which I'm fine either way.
I'd rather almost do that.
So I have one more question before. How do we make sure that database is empty before we start a run?
Oh, I'll show you that.
Okay.
We'll do that in setup, I think.
So I would actually prefer to just check, right here, just check if it's test and switch the database.
Sure.
Because that means one fewer key to manage in our config.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if that was going to be too dirty for you guys. Because that's what I would have done. But I was like, I don't know.
It's deprecated, Eric. Soon this whole if statement will go away. We'll just delete this if statement.
I mean, I think I would probably do a ternary right there, but whatever.
Oh no, that's gonna get flagged in any kind of PR. That ternary shit.
I love ternaries. I love a good ternary.
I like when they're just a bug, Eric.
No. Okay, so now we're in test mode. Okay, so then what we want to do, right? So we can do this one of so. I think we have a bunch of options. So every time this user service test runs, we can clean up all the data in the database once, for all these tests in this file. We could do it once for each test run, or we could do it once for each test, right?
How expensive of an operation
It's not
is this?
free. It will take some time.
I would say we should probably do a test, a fixture setup kind of thing.
Yep.
That that does this thing and clears the database and stuff like that.
So here, what is this guy mad about? Not that
I think you probably need to put this in another file.
Yeah, does setup run for
This
before each test? Okay.
Okay, so that's what we want, roughly, right?
And then what was the and so then what I want like and what was the what's one time
what's
setup?
that?
Oh, that's actually kind of nice.
I want to do that.
Now
I'm fine because if you're in one file, I mean, I guess you have to be careful, but you can usually coordinate the tests enough that they're not going to smash each other, right?
Yeah, so this should still be set up because that's fine because we want to do that every time. Or that's, I want that. I don't want that necessarily. Well, and so Todd, that's a good point. Do you want the one-time setup somewhere else?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that we'll probably want like a test run wide kind of setup that applies to all of our tests, right?
Yeah, should we call this?
Can we call it test one-time setup? Never mind that.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Sure.
And so can I do, was it this?
You're the class, though.
Is he not okay? Okay, so this guy is set up fixture. He needs a default constructor, and then we need a setup attribute. And so here's where we're going to do the Redis stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple.
We should do that. We should just do the configuration stuff too, because no test should really run outside that. Right?
Yeah, I'm sort of torn. I think that's. Do you know which one? This would take precedence, right?
This one gets run after, yeah.
Okay, good. Just because we actually do often run against dev and stuff. You know what I mean?
And if you put it right before it would just switch it to something else.
Yep.
But I think the default should be we run it here.
Okay. And so then the thing I wanted to talk about was, before we went down this rabbit hole, was how do we want to actually tell Redis to delete itself? Do we want to have a redis.cs method that's clean database, or do we want to have the test just GUI go after Redis itself, or what do we want to do?
How nasty is it? It seems it would be a nice idea to have in Redis, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what we're going to do is we're going to do...
Honestly, it should probably throw an exception if the database is 0. or something. But anyway.
Yeah, right. So the first thing we need to do, right... So we have to get the multiplexer, and then we have to get the server, right? Equals... and so we need the host and port. Right, and so the way I've done this in the past is I just do dot first and hope that he's the master, right? Which is correct for now. And I guess I don't have system.link, huh? Okay, so we get him. So let me get the server, and then we're going to return him. He's actually really useful for other things. And then what we can do is we can have a delete database, and then this can be, and so let's just do if database number equals 0.
Why would we take a database number and not just delete the current database? And only allow us to do it if it's the test one?
You're saying so.
So in higher up, we already have a toggle of we're switching between database 1 and 10. That should just be hidden in here.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, so you want to do this instead.
Yeah,
and then we'll just get rid of this guy.
Yeah. And then just delete it.
Wow.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Oops.
And so then we want to do.
Now you need to get the server, right?
Get the server that flush database.
and then his void. So that's how you do it in that world.
Very nice.
So then we can go back here and we can do redis.delete database.
And the delete database, there still be an empty database there at that number, right?
Yeah. So
like recreate.
So we should be able to. Thank you, Redis data server. Okay, so in DB0, right, I've got a bunch of crap actually, which is fine. And then we've got DB through 15. So what we should be able to do is run these user service tests, right? And so this should work, but then it's not cleaning up after itself, which is fine. So we should be able to look in database 10. Whoop. Why did that fail?
It's a little cute.
Yeah, it is, but we'll survive. Should only have to think about it once, hopefully. Okay, so that passed, but now if I go in here and I reload this guy, I can see here I've got this users database, right? So that's cool. But we know he's working because this guy continues to run successfully. So that's awesome.
Great. I like it.
Okay, so we already tested the null user case. We haven't really tested delete. Do we want to test delete? Or do we not?
I think we do, but we also need to test update.
Yeah. Okay, so we did this. And so this guy caught. I guess he's working.
I would say so.
I mean, it's sort of like whatever. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy this guy, I guess, or no. Yeah, probably be good. I just copy this guy. So the first thing we want to do is try and update a user that we can't update, right?
You need the test attribute as well.
Boom, testing. Okay, so we're gonna say update user, and actually, I guess we can just use this user here, right? And so this should throw. We don't really care about testing the null case at this point.
That user already exists because you created it in the previous.
Oh yeah. God. Right, so you don't exist yet.
Yep.
So then we'll add you, and then we'll try and then I guess we could get you, right?
Yep, you should get it.
Because then we want
assert that it looks like what you.
Let's just say your name is Todd, and so I don't really care about the other stuff because we kind of already tested those in the previous test. Now let's update you, right? So your name is now going to be Todd Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will do update user. Okay, so that should be fine. Assert that are equal Todd Gardner name. This can go away. Boom! All passed. Let's just run them all.
It did not pass.
Oh, it did not pass. Expected string length to be 12, but was 4. Strings differ at index 4. Interesting.
Line like that, 39.
Will it actually tell me, like, if I go?
These line numbers are not.
No. I'm not like oh, here. There we go.
That's not the right line.
Oh.
Wow, the test really worked.
Not really. The code worked fine. It was the test that was broken.
No, the test worked though. You proved that it'll detect the wrong thing.
All right, so that's pretty good. I'm not too worried. I mean, some of this stuff, I don't know like how many tests I'd actually write for this stuff really, because like we're kind of just testing the framework mostly, right? I mean, some of the stuff's kind of great. So we have a user. So now we can get a user, or they'll blow up, or whatever. What is that a good place to stop for today, maybe?